CYC viewers, to Perspect Yourself. My name is Gina, and co-hosting with me today, and always, is Joe, Parthenia, and Mo.
Oh, yeah.
Today we're going to be talking about dysfunctional families, which no one has really a normal family, but we're talking about basically the family unit and what it appears to be and what it really is and how difficult it is to balance that up. But before we continue any further, I'd like to say one thing, is our disclaimer, which is, remember please that these are our points of view and nobody else's, and this is to the best of our spiritual knowledge, and they don't represent anyone in particular but ourselves. So do not go around saying to people, well, Gina said, as if Gina has any legitimacy, but I do.
They wouldn't say that anyways. That was very good.
But, you know.
Legitimacy.
I like to enunciate.
And very proper.
Anyways, so we're going to go ahead to start off with our Bible verse for today, okay? It says, and it's referenced to obviously the 10 Commandments, okay? So it goes, honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise, that it may be well with you and you may live long on the earth. Now, why did I choose this Bible quote in particular? It's because there's a reason why the Bible verse, the 10 Commandments, didn't just say, honor your mother and father. There's a reason. Like, God knew that not everyone's families or family units are perfect or normal or always going to be functional, right? There's always going to be problems. And that happens with any relationship, right? If you
actually,
are
that is normal.
That is normal. Exactly. And that is what's normal. But sometimes some people go above the normal. And you have to also understand, parents who are watching, that whatever you say to your children when they're young, whatever it is, if it's not positive, it will shrivel their spirit, right? It's kind of like a flower without sunlight. It will shrivel if there's no sunlight. If there's no positive energy going towards that child at a young age, it won't be able to be fruitful and won't be able to grow to the full potential. And that is why it is important. So even though your parents may be normal now or better than what they were, exactly, sorry for me using that word, lack of better terminology, though they may be better off with each other and they got more practice as a unit, it does not mean necessarily that you did not suffer some sort of traumatic experience when you were younger that has held you back from being able to fully grow. So my question to you guys comes out to, how do we really deal with this situation? You go to church or you go wherever, you look normal, your friends come over, they're like, your parents are cool, I don't see your problem, right? And then, but doors, the minute they leave, it's like a whole new world in there. How do you begin? And we're not referring to Aladdin.
No, yeah, I was about to cite Aladdin. You ruined it for me.
And you're waiting for you to break into song, but
yeah.
Well, I think if I may start, I just want to say, we talked about this on a previous episode, I can't remember which one it was, but again, it's communication, and if there's a problem, the best thing to do is to talk about it, to identify a problem, to acknowledge there's a problem. Sometimes it's hard for children to acknowledge. Sometimes it's hard for parents to acknowledge. It could be because of pride. It could be just because they simply don't actually see a problem. So I think communication is one very important way to treat it. And as always, and again, because we are Christian, and so we're lucky to have this tool of prayer. You pray about something. Something's bothering you, something is not right, you pray about it.
Well, we're going to go ahead and assume, for the purpose of this conversation and this episode, is that the parents aren't really people you can communicate with. And we're going to go with the fact that it's not really a normal setting in the sense that there is a flow of communication. It's like an easy process, right? It's very difficult.
Communication is not easy, and it's never easy.
Even
if your parents are willing to hear you out, or you are willing to hear your parents out, right? It's something, but I think it's something that you need to work on.
Yeah. Right. First of all, I'd like to say my parents are perfect in every way. Mohsen and Naveen, I love you guys. And Kareem, you're fun too. All right, my brother.
Wow, your dad's name is Mohsen and you're Mohib?
Irrelevant and true. All right, now, first of all, so I love the fact that we're talking about when people leave the house, they're completely different. You know, the parents are different, and they're like, "How can you bring them?" That's completely cool. Yeah, completely. You know, they bring out the cookies, and life is good. I love how we're talking about actually.
And then the what I up comes out, and you're like, "Whoa!"
You're like, "I didn't even have that for Christmas."
Yeah,
all that fun stuff. But okay, I think something. You know, let's take it to another level. I'm gonna talk about actions that aren't even said. Like, for example, coming out to a soccer game. just having your parents there watch you in your games. I know you were talking about, like, say you go watch your brother, say, play hockey.
Yeah.
If your parents come out or whatever, that makes a big, it might not seem like a big thing.
Yeah.
It might be like,
especially
oh,
if you're
okay,
young, especially if you're young.
And there's a lot of kids
But it's not even, it's like, my mom and dad came out to my brother's, like, finals. Like, they won't come out to any hockey games, but they'll show up to, like, the final game, right? Like, the playoffs or something.
Which is huge.
So it's just huge. And my brother is not a kid anymore, so we're old, but like we're
older.
We're young adults now, and it matters, and it still counts.
It's huge in what kinds of things they come out to as well, because I know, like, from experience, like, different people, obviously a lot of parents, if not all, or whatever percentage of parents come out to their kids' graduations and their certificates and their diplomas, all that, which is completely understandable.
Which is
the
great stamp thing to do.
Big stamp. All the parents are watching the other parents and their kids. Oh, amazing.
But what about
the little things?
Yeah.
The little things are huge.
Sure.
Well, you know what? Life is made up of the little things, right?
Yeah.
Like no one, I mean, everyone obviously remembers the big things, but it's the little things, when you look back, like for example, when I look at my childhood, right? Yeah. I remember all the great things my parents did for me, like the big things. Like we went to Disneyland, we went camping, you know, we played in a tournament, or whatever it was. But it's the small things, the small things that I remember most and that have the most meaning for me. Yeah. For example, my mom, every Saturday, we'd make pizza. Right? Like she would actually make pizza. I mean, I had pizza like 3-4 times a week. We'd order whatever. But it's that small thing from my childhood that I remember, right? And it comes back with me. But moving on to a different point of view, which is the point of view of the parents, I think oftentimes we discredit our parents so much. Like a lot of us have dysfunctional families, but it's tough to be a family. If you look at a family unit and its definition, it's not like, you know, if I want to do something today, because I'm young, because I'm single, because I'm whatever, I can do it. There's not going to be any repercussions, right? I'm an adult, I can do whatever I want.
You're responsible for yourself.
You do have repercussions.
Well, there's repercussions.
For every action, there's a consequence and there's a reaction.
Absolutely, but I mean, for example, like if I myself today want to go watch a movie, right? Yeah. Like the only repercussions are to me. Yeah. Unless I've committed someone else, right? Whereas like in a family, it's like if I as the father want to go watch a movie, like maybe I should be doing something with my kids. Yeah. Maybe I should be doing something with my wife. And that's why there's that dysfunction, right? Yeah. And I think a lot of dysfunctional families comes from the fact that people don't necessarily, and this is more so for young families, right? Yeah. People don't necessarily know how to be parents or how to live in a family unit, right? Because we all have our own individual mentality, and sometimes it's tough to communicate that to your significant others, not just significant others as a partner, but including your kids.
Yeah. Okay, but as a child, you don't know this. Like your
no, as a child, you definitely don't know this. It's terrible.
Your concept of understanding like how hard it is, or the difficulties and the sacrifices and the responsibilities, that's not clear to you as a child.
No.
So what I'm talking about is here from the child's perspective, growing up and seeing this double multi-personality, right? I mean, if you, for example, this is something very small, but I heard the Pope once mention it, and he's like, if a parent picks up a call, if the child, picks up a call, and it's for one of the parents, and the parent doesn't want to answer it, and the parent goes, no, just say I'm not here, wave it off. We've heard those before. And then the Pope even says himself, like, from that, you're already pushing onto the child that lying is okay, or like that you are okaying it, you're affirming it in a way. So whatever it is you have, like, being a parent is a huge, huge responsibility, and there's no way you can ask a child to understand that responsibility. However, for those children who have to take on that adult role in the family unit, because
a lot. No, absolutely, that happens
a lot more than you think. Okay,
extremely a lot.
I think one of the big aspects to think about also is forgiveness, because if we go back to the Bible verse, it goes back to say, obey your parents. But why does it say obey your parents? Because it says you will live long in the land. And I'm sure God is not referring to the fact that you will actually live for, instead of 80 years, 90 years or something like that. We're talking about being able to live with yourself and with your family.
From the point of communication and from the perspective of the child, right? And we mentioned sometimes it's tough to communicate to the parent. And so we said like other outlets are including prayer. I think just the fact that like every child should have someone to talk to. Even if they're not comfortable with like a servant or a relative or a Buddha even, right? I mean, those are the best mediums, obviously. Like number one, father of confession, spiritual father, right? Your servants, your Sunday school teachers, like a close relative that knows what the issues are, understands them, and like has your best interest at heart. Even if those mediums aren't available, like even talking to someone else, like another child, and I'm not saying accept the advice of the other child, because the other child is just, at the end of the day, and I hate saying this, is just a child, right? Like they don't know what they're talking about.
What experience have
but
they
just
had?
getting it off your chest and
good
releasing it, right? Like you'd be amazed. Like a lot of kids come to me and they're like, you know, Joe, my parents are so stupid. And I'll be like, oh, you know, little John, why are they stupid? And they'll be like, oh, you know, they wouldn't let me watch TV past 10. I'm like, okay, number one, like, you obviously aren't allowed to watch TV past 10 because, like, you're young and there's bad programs on, you don't understand, and it's your bedtime, whatever it is, right? But then when little John goes to, like, little Chris or whatever and says, like, oh, my parents won't let me watch, and little Chris says the same thing, you begin to realize, like, okay, maybe there is an issue. If it's not just my parents that are doing it, if it's all parents, like, maybe there's some validity to it.
There is a problem, though, when you start talking to people, say, outside of your community, or not only basing it on people outside of the community.
That makes it
But
difficult.
there's a lot of people in the community itself that may have different standards.
Definitely.
That's true.
Right?
And it's like who you're talking to.
Who you're talking to, and you're like, hey, look, they do this.
Yeah,
and you pick the best things from different people, and you put it into one perfect life.
And then you're like, why can't I have that?
Why can't I have a toy from Toys R Us and be friends?
How many times do you hear, like, you're not normal. All my friends get to do this. Why are you so stubborn?
All the time.
That's the danger of comparing. You get, we get, as kids.
Until now we do it.
Parents who compare us to our parents. But our parents do the same thing too, right?
It's a two-way street, right?
They'll compare you to, like, a kid who's
in pharmacy.
Yeah. Or right?
What happened to you?
Yeah, be like, why did you get 80 and your brother got 92? You know?
Exactly.
I'll be like, Mom, he was taking gym.
Story of my life.
That's right. Kareem,
I'm thinking advanced nuclear physics. But I think too, like, as a child, like, we're bombarded with these images of the nuclear family, right? Like, we see it in all the movies. And I think it's very important that we understand that those things are just in the movies, right?
Yeah,
every family has problems. Yeah. Every set of parents have arguments among themselves. Like, obviously there's extremes, right? But they're, like, an argument's normal, right? Like, even, like, we argue with our siblings, right? Like, small things
with
like
our
that.
friends,
with our friends even, right? Like, you can have disagreements.
And
But a lot of people, and this breaks my heart, like, a lot of kids take it to heart and they think that it's just them.
Because they're kids.
Because they're kids.
Remember,
they don't know better.
And that's when it comes, and that's where it comes, the validity, and this is so important to the parents. Like, if the parents, and it's unavoidable that, like, the parents fight in front of the kids. Like, it should be avoided, but sometimes it'll happen. It's very important that the parents go to the child after and they explain, like, listen, like, we got into a disagreement, like, we still love you, like, it has nothing to do with you, it's not your fault. Adults argue this way sometimes. At the end of the day, we still love each other and we're still here for you. And that's where it comes down to, we can't necessarily always prevent the bad action from happening, but we can always take measures to fix the issue.
And this is the problem too. A big problem is that a lot of kids will look at this behavior and may look at it as, I don't want to say typical, but when they grow up, they repeat patterns.
Definitely.
Even when they say, for sure,
I'll never be like my
definitely not going to be my parents 100%.
You will.
And you get older, and you're going to do that.
Absolutely. You find you're following
as
your
we're older, we notice that, right?
You're speaking like your parents. You're doing
my mom,
like,
I don't know if I can reveal this. I can definitely reveal this. This is completely normal.
Please,
my mom will say, Mo, when you find a nice girl, the first thing, we have to know her parents. You know, because then from the parents, why did I sound like Borat? I don't know. From the parents, you can find out how the girl is going to be or how
they say that.
I'm not saying 100% of the time that's how it's going to be.
Ladies, Mo is single and...
Ladies, single and loving it.
And
but
very
have
available.
To bring your parents forward first before any, So we have to, I mean, from that, they can tell you a lot about a girl and a lot about a guy and whatever. Their upbringing is
It's roots, right? Back to that flower example, roots, you know? Deep roots.
Exactly.
Deep.
And if you're ever inquiring about how to get out of it, remember forgiveness. But that's
Get out of the parent-child relationship?
No. Like how to get out of...
Emancipate yourselves is what we're saying. Don't do that.
Run away.
Don't Google that. Don't Google
Please. Oh, and also on another serious note,
home.
a lot of children, and I've noticed this with the younger and younger children, and again, this might be because we see this more in the media, a lot of children run away from home.
Yeah.
Of course.
And like sometimes it's a legitimate issue where it's like, you know, the parent is being abusive to the child's getting beat, whatever it is. Obviously those circumstances are extreme. Yeah. But the average child, regardless of the issue, should not run away from home, in my opinion. Like, I mean, if your father and mother are having arguments, don't run away from home. If your father and mother are neglecting you, don't run away from home. Because at the end of the day, like, even if the home is such a terrible situation, it's not safe for you to run away. You know, like, if you're going to, like, Abuna's house or if you're going to a friend's house and your parents are aware of that, that's different.
Yeah, that's different.
Like
call someone.
Call someone. Let someone know.
On your own.
Absolutely. Like, in today's society, it's dangerous.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Very dangerous.
But if you do need to or whatever, make sure you call someone.
But you know
Absolutely.
what's really sad?
You're welcome to come to my house.
That's right.
All of these things that you guys are saying, like, why would kids get this idea? Again, it's what's being portrayed in the media. It's like, oh, this is what our normal family should be
Definitely,
like.
right?
This is how
and
our
the girl in the
family should
movie
be
ran away from home.
Yeah, and she made it after all, and she survived. Or
without
just
without their help.
Yeah.
I've never seen my family for 15
they
years
make it
or
like,
whatever.
it's okay, you know, you
Yeah.
can
It's
run
not.
away. But no, it's not realistic. It's not sensible. It's not ultimately, it's just not the right thing to do. There are always better solutions, and that's the other thing. It's the media. It's learning where to draw the line between reality and fantasy, or
And
reality
remember,
and like
your
the media,
situation is very particular to yourself.
That's right.
Exactly.
And nobody
Everyone's
else's.
And please
Right.
feel free to like put the effort in yourself. And I know you say you do or whatever, but I know for me personally, I might observe, say, okay, our family's too quiet. Sometimes I'm not open with them, whatever. And I don't make an effort. I kind of wait for my parents to do something, and then maybe we'll open up.
Because they're
maybe,
the
we'll see.
adults.
They're the adults. They're in charge. But, you know, they are in charge and all that fun stuff. But feel free to step up. Like,
Yeah.
do something. I'm talking to me. You can zone out if you want. Step up, Mo. You got to do something. I'm going to
Get
rewatch
your act
this.
together, Mo.
Get your act together,
Let's
Mo.
bring it back to the point of forgiveness, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and we know this for a fact, that a lot of children have it rough growing up, and they do grow up in an actual dysfunctional family, not just a family where there's arguments or whatever. Like this family is truly dysfunctional. Bringing it back to that point of forgiveness. When you don't forgive, right, you will grow up as an adult, and that will carry on with you.
You
And
hold on to that grudge.
You hold on to that grudge, and one, that's emotionally not healthy for you.
No.
Two, like there'll be hate in your heart, and then like hate
Yeah.
is a sin which spreads and it corrupts you, right?
And you don't want to be growing up to be like your
just
parents
don't
in
wanna
a way
hold
that
grudges.
And
you
the
wanna-
third thing is, one day when you have children, they won't
Yeah.
forgive you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
that's
And
true.
that's
My
where
mother
you
always
feel
says, "Whatever you do to us,
Your kids will do
come
to you."
back.
Yeah.
Your kids
Yes.
will come
So,
back. You know, I don't know if
That's
that's the guilt, and I don't know if that's even a
That's
healthy
definitely the
thing,
guilt.
right? But that's the thing. But that's true. I mean, she's not
They're
just
good at that.
She's saying that, like, she's not. I think there is a lot of validity to that. Like,
Definitely,
it's.
right?
I think
Of course.
you know what goes
So
around comes
important.
around.
But
so.
I also think it's going back to, remember that when God gave that commandment, he didn't do it because he thought he didn't say honor your mother and father because he thought you would have a perfect home. Right?
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
He knew that this would happen, and he still gave you a home.
it won't be
Right?
easy, right?
Definitely not. And
Yeah.
But
and
at the end of the day, he still gave you a home. And what he says at the end of it is, not only does he want you to honor them, he says that by honoring them, though how hard it is and difficult it may be, you will, let's go back to the verse, it says, that it may be well with you. So you can find peace within yourself. If the peace isn't within your home, at least you can find it within your spirit and say, and you may live long on the earth. In the sense that long enough that you may still see and glorify your God in heaven, right? So I'm going to repeat the verse, and that's going to be the end of today for Perspect Yourself. So it's from Ephesians chapter 6, verse 2 and 3. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise, that it may be well with you and you may live long enough on the earth. And remember, until next time, CYC viewers, Perspect Yourself.